Hello, and thank you for joining us. It is indeed a great day to be alive. I am so excited because many times as parents we miss the mark with our children, but my guest on today, Santee Ezell, she's going to empower you in regards to alcoholism, drug abuse, and what's going on in the world of teenagers. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Well, we're back, and it's time to sit down one-on-one with Miss Santee Ezell, my great friend. I just love you, love you, love you. Thank you for joining me on today. Now, you know what? When I see you, you're just bubbly, full of life and energy, but God has given you an assignment. And you're on the highways, the byways, and you're teaching, you're empowering, but you have a task. And yes. That task has been one with working with our teenagers, the parents, just the public, the community, informing them about sometimes the world that we don't know what our children are doing with drug abuse, right, with alcoholism, and this thing that's rising now, teenage drinking. Tell us a little bit more of what's going on. What do you see out there?
Well, you know, like growing up, you don't really just notice it. Especially growing up in a small town, but I didn't know it was a main focus and a problem until I got into the job of prevention. And what I've seen, most teens are experiencing peer pressure in middle school. And as we've seen that, it kind of peaks up, and even though my target area is 12 to 25, you really have to start as early as possible when it comes to prevention. And just not prevention with alcohol, but different drugs, even prevention with teenage pregnancy, peer pressure, those kind of things. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to especially target our middle school, but also our high school students, because they are experiencing, and a lot of parents are, I hate to say it, are in denial, but a lot of kids are experiencing marijuana, tobacco throughout the week at school, and then most of the time they are doing underage drinking when it comes to different parties, seeing friends on the weekend, and it kind of gradually progresses. And just when it comes to looking at the data, you can see that most kids, once they start at an early age, they continue, and it becomes alcoholism, it becomes dependency, and you see people, they're finally admitting, I have a problem, but guess what age? 40, 50, 60, and they're having to go through treatment. So my job, my task is a very tedious job. You have to stay on top of statistics, what's going on in the community, asking kids, what do you see? How can we stop it? So that's kind of what's going on.
Now, you're with community counseling.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what specifically is your job title?
I am a prevention specialist, and I'm on a grant through the state with the Department of Mental Health, and it's the Mississippi Partnership Project Grant. And what we do, what I do, I focus on 12 to 25-year-olds for underage drinking and prescription drug abuse. But I do community events to educate. I do health fairs. Anytime somebody calls, I'm basically there, because our prevention information is to educate. And anything you don't know, we would like for you to know, because there are so many different things that are going on in our community that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, you said prevention specialist. So what we want to do right now is to educate our parents. Many times, and I'm just going to say this, in the Christian arena, the Christian world, they're in denial, or they're just ignorant to the fact of what's going on, because we are in church. You know, praise God, God, thank you, Jesus, hallelujah. But our children go lacking. And so they begin to act out. They become irate, and it's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So what are some signs and symptoms that your child may be using drugs or abusing alcohol?
One thing I have always told people is that ministry is beyond the four walls. Ministry is beyond what we do within those four walls, whether it's education, but you have to reach the kids. You have to have those ministries to focus on depression. And a lot of them are experiencing that. Depression, peer pressure, they're lonely, boyfriend, girlfriend breakups. They're committing suicide, and that's growing within our younger population. And that's where we miss it within the Christian arena, is we're not ministering to our kids. It's okay to be on the choir. It's okay to serve on the usher board. It's okay to do those things, but you got to hit home. What's going on with our kids? Are you going out to the school? Are you a part of the school board? What are you seeing that's different within your child when he was at 12 years old and he's 15? What's different? And I have definitely seen where there's an increase in extracurricular activities. There's a decrease in some of those areas when it comes to depression, loneliness, and those kind of things. And my mom have always told me, make sure you sit down at the dinner table with your kids. Ask them how their day is going. Communication. It's important. And it's so many things that we're lacking as within the Christian arena. It's just those simple things that we take for granted that someone is actually wanting to have in their life. So just being able to notice what's different within them. Are they depressed? Are they becoming angry? Are they bitter? It could be peer pressure, you know, that's going on. It could be this kid wants to have them smoking and drinking, but they don't want to. But, you know, they're like, well, if you don't do it, we're not friends anymore. And, you know, growing up, you know, in middle school and definitely in elementary, I'm not your friend anymore, we can't talk anymore, but then they're back friends. But kids are experiencing a lot of things, and for like 6 and 7 and 8 year olds to be thinking about committing suicide, or they know about that? We do see that. And then just depression. Even with our surveys, we ask those questions, you know, have you thought about committing suicide in the past 12 months? You'd be surprised of the kids who have thought about it. Thank God they haven't went, you know, and fully went through it, but you know, that's just something that's on their mind. So it's really important for us to tackle those issues very early.
Do you see generational curses of the parents or drug abusers?
Yes.
Alcohol, you know.
And data, even though data tells you that, we try to put the kids in a positive light. Even though your mother and father smoked marijuana, was an alcoholic, drug abuser, you don't have to follow that same route. So that's why we try to educate kids as early as possible. Prevention isn't just for the kids, but it's for the parents. It's for me, because I didn't know it was so much of a problem until I started learning, going to different trainings, hearing people's stories who have been in treatment, and I'm just like, wow, it's a serious problem. And for Lowndes County to be one of the highest counties in the state of Mississippi, it's kind of taking a toll that we have a job that we have to finish. Even beyond when the grant is finished, we still have a job to do in order to prevent these things from happening.
Well, it's like unless you get into rolling your sleeves up and like you have, you're like in awe, like, wow, I didn't know this was happening. There's so many people that are watching us right now. They're just like, wait a minute, maybe my child is, you know, being pressured into drug abuse or maybe drinking and I wasn't aware of it. So let's talk about just some drugs itself, names, the text messaging. A lot of times, you know, kids are communicating through text messages. I want our parents to be educated. I don't want them to be ignorant of what's really going on and in the highlight of life, because you can be so busy working as a mother, you know, father taking care of the family, that trying to provide the house, the car, you know, and saving for the education, that your children end up falling through the cracks. So, you know, help us in that area, just highlight some names of what you see or how these kids communicate.
One of the things that Mississippi has seen spiked up recently is synthetic drugs. And a lot of states, due to the ingredients within the synthetic drugs, is actually used for medicine in a positive light. However, when you use it in a negative light, it's kind of like you're battling with legislation, like, should we deny this? Should we keep it? Should it be legal? Should it be legal? So synthetic drugs is really taking a toll on our kids. Prescription drugs, also, they're accessible. If my mom is taking blood pressure pills, but I want to, you know, get high off of that, or anything that pertains to her that's going to help her, then I have accessibility to that within the home. And a lot of parents don't realize that. And just being a case manager prior, it's like, we need a lockbox. You know, kids have access to these things. And a lot of kids are experiencing farm parties, which is PHARM, which they call skittling. And with that, each kid takes a bottle of prescriptions, they pour it in one big bowl, and they take a handful. And most kids can overdose on it, become sick, and harm themselves.
Wait.
Yes.
And take a handful.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So it's called form parties.
That's scary to even think
is.
that our children are getting together.
Right.
You know, even going through these acts and where they can kill each other, you know,
Yes.
kill one another, kill themselves, harm
right.
your body.
You don't know what you're taking at all. So that's new as well. But synthetic drugs is our newest drug that's coming in. And some of those are K2, Spice, M-Bomb. But the thing is, and even like with potpourri, you have people that are using that as well, which is in some of those K2 and spices packages as well.
Oh
and
my.
it's basically, it is not made for the human consumption. And it says that on the back, but it's known as a synthetic drug. So it's kind of slightly different from LSD, but it definitely harms the body.
Oh my goodness. You know, and I love this because it's not just happening here in Mississippi.
Oh,
this
no.
is just running rapid, you know, nationwide,
Right.
country to country. I mean,
Right.
people are hurting everywhere.
Right.
And so I'm sure you know this, and you probably have to minister to some of the kids and their parents. When people are hurting, they'll try to find any drug, you know, any means of
Exactly.
consumption
Yes.
to feel that void or
Right.
that pain.
Right. That is so true. And a lot of people really don't understand that, but you know, a drug is anything that kind of changes the entire body. Alcohol is a drug. Anything that changes your body from the inside out, whether it's your appearance, whether it's the chemicals in your body, your heart, your lungs, is really a drug, and it truly affects you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're going to come back after this quick commercial break because you've informed us about the drugs, but there's so much more that we definitely need to talk about. And I want to just pull from your wisdom, things that as a parent, because you are a parent, and when you talk about middle school kids,
Right.
that's scary because I have a middle schooler.
Right.
Wow. I know that you've been empowered, uplifted, and totally in awe because I have been, but we're going to come back after this quick commercial break with Miss Santee Ezell, and she's going to take us to another level of just trusting God, even when you're dealing with these situations. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is the part I hate. They all start pushing me.
My mom, dad, my teachers, brothers and sisters, my manager at work, even my friends.
It's like once one of them starts, they all join in. If I slip up, even once, I'll never make it back to where I started.
It doesn't matter how much I'm doing right. They don't notice anything.
Who's going to help me?
I can't see anything from here.
I feel so suffocated. I just want to...
Sometimes your life feels so out of control, you can hardly breathe. Whatever you're dealing with, problems with girlfriends, boyfriends, your family, pressures at school, depression, or if you feel lost or down, we're here anytime to give you help and hope.
Call anytime. 1-800-448-3000. Or go to yourlifeyourvoice.org.
It's your life. It's your voice. Use it.
1-800-448-3000.
All right, you guys, it's now time for the results of the Homecoming Queen election. The second attendant is Denise Willard. The first attendant is Katie Higgins. And now, your homecoming queen is... Okay, here we go. Becca Weininger.
True beauty. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
You're watching the Christian Television Network, proclaiming the most powerful name of all.
I want to take this opportunity from my heart to yours as a parent to just tell you right now how important it is to communicate with your children. If you see them doing something out of the ordinary, you definitely have to communicate, you know, but more importantly, pray, and God will begin to show you and he will unveil what's really going on. So we're going to jump right back into this because I know you've been empowered in regards to the drug usage. Now, you talked about drugs in the first segment, but there is something that's called a social law. That's social host law?
Yes.
Awesome. That's going on right now because we have teenagers who are doing a lot of underage drinking and they're hosting parties. Tell us what's going on.
With the social host law, it is definitely stating that no parent is allowed to host any alcoholic beverages around teenagers for underage drinking. And due to the fact, we've had a couple down south that had to go through the social host law and were charged with it because there were 3 teens who were killed due to underage drinking around last year, around homecoming time.
And their parents were present?
Their parents were not present.
Wow.
They were at a friend's house and they left. And most accidents, if you kind of look at it, most accidents occur within 1 block of your home. And those kids, they were leaving, they had been drinking, which they should not have left, even if they were drinking. And I try to stress so importantly to kids and parents, I cannot tell you what you cannot do, but I can tell you the consequences of drinking and driving and how it can affect you, the family, the community, and those kind of things. But with the social host law, we don't want any parents hosting a party where there's teens because that can lead to underage drinking. And you know, with underage drinking, there comes driving, impaired ability, those kind of things. And a lot of teens think, oh, I just had 1 or 2, I'm okay, I'm good to go. And anything can happen. And it just affects your body. And it really depends on your weight, your height. And of course, if you're drinking, you're not going to be thinking about, okay, I weigh 160, I'm about no, you're not going to be thinking that way. But that plays a role in how much a person can actually take. And the teen cannot drink due to the fact their brains are not fully developed.
Absolutely.
So for women, we are smarter. Our brain is fully developed by 25 or 26. When it comes to men, it's 27 or 28. But you really have to think about that because if you start drinking at 14 and 15, guess what? And you become dependent on it, it affects your brain. And in your 20s, your 30s, and definitely later on in life. So we're trying to prevent parents from hosting these parties when it comes to underage drinking, because with the social host law, you can be charged with that. And then also, if based on how many teens were there, if they were affected, that's a count that can be charged as well. So we really have to think about what we're doing and what our kids are actually seeing.
It's so often we forget about our children because we're consumed with our work. You know, when we come home, I just need a drink, I just need a glass of wine, which our children see that, and they're going to live what they see. It's as simple as that. And many times we forget about them. I just want my space. I just want my energy, you know, to pull from this glass of, I just need what I need. And instead, we have to live the life before our children. So I want to ask this question. Have you seen or reports of young teenagers coming intoxicated to school?
We've had some teachers to say, you know, they've seen kids who possibly could have been smoking marijuana or who have come to school intoxicated because they're not fully functioning as well as they should be within the classroom. Sleepy, drowsy, those kind of things. And, you know, through our prevention, kids get comfortable. They go to tell you everything. And you'd be surprised of the things that you hear. And I'm just like, back in high school, that was not me. That was a no-no. But the kids, it's a different generation. They're experiencing, and experiencing was like, you know, Kool-Aid and having fun. We're going to run.
But there is no fear.
There is no fear.
There's no fear in the home, so I'm going to do what I want to do because there are no consequences. If I get drunk, what's going to happen? So that's why I'm
and that's another thing. Even not only with fear in the home, but fear in the community.
Absolutely.
I know when I left that house, somebody was sitting on the porch watching me. And have you seen Santee? Yeah, I've seen her bike go down the road. You don't have that anymore. Everybody's for their own home, and it's not a community-based issue now.
Where it used to be, it takes a village to raise, you know. Now it's just like, okay, if my child is okay, I'm good. And that's not the way that I believe Jesus wants it to be. You know, we're supposed to love on everyone, be a blessing to everyone, regardless if they receive it or not. Share with them the knowledge like we're doing on today. And so I want to ask you, because you have 2 beautiful children.
I do.
How has this new role that you have in the community made your outlook as a parent different than it was before you said yes, God, to this assignment?
Oh my gosh, it has definitely changed me. I watch even what I say, what I do, because I know I have not only my children watching me, but other kids. And even when I'm on WCBI, a kid be like, I seen you this morning. You were talking about alcohol and drugs. They're watching me. And my kids are watching me as well. So I watch what I do, what I say, where I'm going, those kind of things. And they ask me questions. They're like, Mama, what is this? This is in your car. What is this pamphlet about? And Jordan, she's 5, she's learned to read. Xavier, he is reading up away. And they ask these questions. So I have to be blunt and tell them on their level, what is this? I can't just say don't do drugs and alcohol. I got to tell them the consequences of drinking and driving, and then just partaking in drugs. And when it comes to peer pressure, Xavier wants to go into the military. I told him, you got to have a perfect record. You cannot.
And that's what we have to do. We have to educate our children and let them know if you do this, there's a consequence that will affect your life, you know, not just in the now, because children only live in the now.
Exactly.
You have to prepare them for the future.
Exactly.
And many times we miss it. We say, oh, well, you know, he's just having a problem. He's just depressed. No, that depression can linger on until like 40 or 50 years old. And now we have, you know, a tyrant in the community, in society.
That is
so would you say having open communication as young as 4 and 5 in regards to drugs and alcoholism?
I really would, as early as possible, and you feel like they can understand it. I got mad at my mom when they tried to talk to me about certain things when it came to drugs, alcohol, teenage pregnancy, all those kind of things. I didn't want to hear, but I think once you develop a relationship with God, you kind of truly understand what's important. The kids live in the now, I'm already looking in the future. I'm trying to prepare you for that now. And open communication, being honest, not holding anything back, not only helps me, but it helps my kids to come to me when they say, Mom, I have a problem. This is what's going on. Or, you know, they're able to talk to me about what's going on with them and their friends, those kind of things. And peer pressure started as early as kindergarten.
Oh, yes.
They don't call it peer pressure, but it's peer pressure, and kids are picking on others.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely important to be open and communicate, and definitely have them in the church so they can understand a relationship with God is definitely important.
Absolutely. As a parent, you have to be alert. You have to be observant, not just watching your child's behavior, but what he's taking in the room. One of the things I've heard parents say, well, I don't go in my child's room, that's their privacy. And my comment is, are they paying the mortgage? Hello. You don't have a house, you know, you're just staying here temporarily. God is blessing you. So, you know, what would you say to a parent who may be thinking in regards to their child maybe doing drugs or stashing, you know, booze or something here and there? Would you say investigate?
Investigate. It's definitely important to investigate. And like you said, they are not paying the bills.
Absolutely.
They are just living there. But it is so important to check their rooms, check their backpacks. You'd be surprised of what kids are slipping in home. They may be stealing certain things. Somebody may have given them something. And, you know, just different things that they could be taking. But definitely investigate the room. Look through clothes, because it could be anything.
Yeah.
You know, anything.
What are some of the things that they hide, you know, alcohol in? I know the canteens and or there's some things that you could just share with parents, something that they may actually...
You'd be surprised, like canteens, even water bottles. Because if you think about like Absolute Vodka Clear, you can be like, oh, that's just water, or a Sprite bottle, those kind of things. You'd be surprised. They'll use like their jugs to bring to school, the little other water bottles. So you just be surprised of the different things that kids maybe come to school and then they're drinking while in class. We don't know. We're assuming it's Sprite, or we're assuming it's a dark drink, you know, and parents get upset when they say, okay, we're going to start checking children, but why not?
Absolutely.
You never know. And that's why they say no weapons, no drugs, no tobacco, no alcohol on the premises, because that should be a safe environment for everyone. So it's definitely important to check and investigate.
What has been the greatest challenge being a prevention specialist?
Wow. The greatest challenge I would have to say is I love the middle school students. I love them because they're open and they are willing to make changes. You know, they're still exploring, but they're like, oh, she just told me this. When it comes to high school students, they're already doing it. So it's just like...
And they think they know everything.
They know everything. And it's just like, I know everything, so what can you tell me? And I always tell them when I go into a classroom, I'm not here to tell you what you can and cannot do, but I'm here to tell you about the consequences of what may happen. Some kids change throughout the surveys. some kids are still the same, but I try to give them a positive light. And I always end it with a video about a lot of people die at 25, but they're buried at 75. What is your dream? Yeah. What do you want to do? How can alcohol and drugs stop you from accomplishing your dream? So that's really important. That's been one of my biggest challenges, high school students, and even just in the community, getting them involved, helping them understand. Because I think when it comes to everybody, even with myself, we only deal with the issue when it hits home.
Absolutely.
So we don't deal with the issue ongoing. We wait till it hit home. So I'll wait till Xavier do this when I should have been doing something in the beginning.
Prevention.
So I'm learning that now, prevent now, when it comes to everything in life.
So we have drugs, you know, alcoholism and underage drinking.
Right.
Recently, there was something here in the Tupelo area.
Right.
That hit home. That was very devastating. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Right. And it's sad to say that I got excited, but I really did, because the social host law is so important. And it's just for parents to be aware, if I host this party and some teens are here, what could happen? Yeah. You know, drinking, driving, fights, you know, vandalism, whatever, anything can happen. But with those 70 teens.
There were 70 teenagers.
70 teenagers. Wow. They were taken to the juvenile detention center. But then also some were already passed out and intoxicated. The youngest age there was 15.
Oh my goodness.
And we have to understand, Xavier is about to be 9. I don't even have that many years to say, okay, he won't do it, because they are, they see these things in the 5th and 6th grade. A kid takes their first drink in the 6th grade. They have their first cigarette in the 6th grade. These are statistics, not just in Mississippi, but throughout the state. So it's really important for us to educate the parents, because the social host law is real, and they've passed that for a reason, to stop underage drinking. In Mississippi and other states, we definitely have a problem when it comes to underage drinking and prescription drug abuse. And just tying all of that together, it affects and harms our body when we're taking in something that it should not go into, and the chemicals of our body are changing. So that's something that I'm steady learning. But it's very important for parents to know, you know, no underage drinking. I know it may hurt their feelings, but you will definitely help them in the long run.
I love how you said that it may hurt their feelings. And as a parent, many times, I don't want to hurt my child's feeling. You have to get beyond being a friend and parent. You can still be your child's friend, but you have to have those boundaries, those limits, even if you have to change your voice, because they know when you mean business.
Yes.
I mean, I know my daughter does, you know, we how I love you, but there comes a time, Trinity, and there's a look that I give her where she knows, okay, my mom is not playing with me. And so I think we have to get back to parenting and stop being their child's friend. So when you said that, it just triggered, because many times the comment is, well, I don't want to hurt my child's you know, feelings, so I'm going to host this party and allow them just to drink a little bit. But you're looking at the now and not looking at their future. How is this going to affect them for the rest of their lives?
Exactly. And I think that really comes into play on how you were raised as well. What did you see in the home? And I know my parents, they made sure they got their point across, but having Xavier, my first child, at a young age, I was 18 years old. I didn't know anything about motherhood. So you really have to change from being a friend to being a parent, and meaning that's motherhood, it's business, and I'm going to do what I have to do in order to take care of you. So that's really important. Hurting, you're going to hurt their feelings, but it's going to help them in the long run.
That's being a parent.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I tell you, it has been just a wonderful opportunity to sit down one-on-one with you. But I know there's someone that's watching right now. Can you just give us a quick contact number of how they can reach you if they want to just reach out and just sit down with you? Sure.
I work at community counseling, and my number is 662-328-9225. My extension is 4039, and they are more than welcome to call me. I'm in Columbus, and I would love, even if it's not having a conversation, if you need some information sent to you, I'll definitely slip some things in the email for you.
Most definitely. Well, there it is, ladies, gentlemen, those that are watching. I love you all so very much. Miss Santee Ezell has put it out there on the platter. All you have to do is just receive it, and her contact information is on the screen. Well, I love you. God bless you. Until then, know that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Be blessed.